All right, so for today's class, we're going to be going over the contact section within Command. I am at agent.kw.com and I'm going to get signed in. I'll give you a moment to do the same as well. And when using Command, we typically recommend going in through Firefox or Google Chrome. Those browsers tend to work best with Command. Over on the left, we have our applet menu. These are the different applets or sections within Command. While you're learning what these different icons are, you can actually click the KW at the top left. It'll expand this menu and show you the name of each section. Let's go ahead and click on Contacts, and that'll bring us into our database. All right, this is our database here. On the left, we can see our contact names. The little L, that means this person has been marked as a lead. Leads can come in through your website, through different places, or you can actually manually tag someone as a lead. We can see the last time that they visited or were contacted, their tags, and different contact information over here. We can search for contacts in this search box here. We can search by first name, last name, email, address, or everything. We can also use filters to search for contacts in our database. Now, my database, I only have a few people, so I can basically see everyone. But these filters are going to be really helpful if you have a large number of contacts in your database. And we're going to come back to that. I'm going to show you more about these filters and different things that we can do from within this page. So let's actually start today by adding a contact to Command. Now, there are a few different ways that you can add contacts into Command. Let's start by just adding an individual contact. To do this, we can click Add Contact at the top right, and it's going to bring up this contact form. Now, when adding a contact to Command, the only thing that's required is a first name or a full name. You can actually just put in a first name here. So just a name is required. But of course, you'll want to add in as much information as possible. We do have the option to add in a relationship. Whether this is a spouse, family member, business partner, or so on, you can select those options here. You can actually select another contact in your database to link those two profiles. We can add in the person's email, their primary email, whether that is personal, work, or other. Primary phone number, if you have this information here. You can also add in a lead source. This is just a way for you to categorize your contacts. If you click on this option here, there are a bunch of different lead sources that you can choose from. You can also create custom lead sources within your Command settings, which I'm going to point out later today in this class. So for example, maybe this contact came from Boomtown. I can select Boomtown here, and it's just going to be another way for me to filter through and search through my contacts. I can mark this contact as a lead. I can also add them to my sales pipeline if I need to start an opportunity for this contact. And then we have the option for tags. Now in Command, we don't have the ability to create groups. Instead, we use tags. Tags are managed within our Command settings, so we will be jumping to the settings later in class. So right now, I can only access tags that I have created previously. I have a whole list here. I can scroll through them, or I can just search. So I'm going to search SLM because I know I have that tag. And there we go. Of course, you'll want to add in as much information as possible. So we do have this option here to click Add More Info. Click Additional Contact Information. We can expand this section. We can add in their preferred method of contact. We can also add in additional phone numbers or emails. Here we can add in their address, their primary address, and if that is also their mailing address, we can select this box here. And add in any social profiles if you know those. Under this About section here, we can add in a legal name or description, their birth date or home anniversary. This is great if you'd like to set this person up on a birthday or home anniversary smart plan. Any additional relationships, and then their company information. You can actually select that here. Somebody had the question, what is the importance of a tag? That is really just, and somebody answered this perfectly, you can filter with tags. So in my database, like I said, I don't have a lot of people in here, so it's really easy for me to find all of my contacts. But if you had hundreds or thousands of contacts, you can search and filter by those tags in your database. And I'll show you that in action. It's just a way for you to basically organize and be able to search within your contacts. And then I did have some questions on the importance of marking someone as a lead. Now, somebody will be marked as a lead if they come in as a lead from, say, a Facebook, an ad campaign, or your website, whatever it is. But I would not recommend leaving someone marked as a lead. So to have someone marked as a lead is basically just to get your attention and see that this is a new person so that you can start interacting with them. From there, you'll want to we would recommend unmarking them as a lead, because if somebody is marked as a lead, they cannot be put on smart plans or any of your marketing. So that's basically the L is basically telling you to start establishing a connection with that person. So once you have that person, you see them in your database, I would recommend removing that lead tag, and then you'd be able to set them up on different marketing and different smart plans. So the purpose of the L tag, the lead, is just to basically get your attention and establish them as a new contact so you can start to build that relationship. All right, so here again, more information that we can add. There's also this custom section. And again, we're going to check out our settings later in class today. That's where we can add in the custom lead sources and the tags that we can create. But you can also add in custom fields. So maybe you want to store a bit of information for this person, but there isn't actually a designated spot for it. you can add a custom field, and these are established within your settings, so you do have to set this up ahead of time. But here are some examples of things we added in: favorite color, favorite sports team, and so on. So these are things that we created. So let's say I wanted to store Ariel's favorite sports team. I can select this custom sort or custom field that I created, basically a custom question of information I want to store, and I can write in the answer. All right, I've added in all the info I need for this person, and I'm going to click create, and they will be added to my database right away. For our classes, I am recording this class. This will be on our website later today. And for any of our other classes, those are recorded as well. You can find those at slmtraining.com. And I'll show you, there are some bulk actions as well. Somebody asked about unmarking a contact as a lead. I'll definitely be showing you that today as well. So there we go. I'm going to refresh my page, and we'll be able to see that Ariel has been added to our database. There we go. There's our new contact. You can also import contacts into Command. So if you have a group of contacts or another database from a different location, importing is going to be a really great tool for you. So I'm going to click the import button here. Now, when you're importing into Command, unfortunately, you can't just upload your own list that you exported out of another location. You do actually have to convert it to the Command template. So you can download that template here by clicking the download button. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that file, and we can start to create our database. And I'll go ahead and expand this. So if you've worked within Command contacts before, this actually just changed. This import template changed about a week ago. So we'll be going over those changes today. All right, and of course for this, you want to add in as much information as possible, but you can see there are a lot of different things that you can store for someone. So you don't have to add in every bit of information, but I'm just going to start by adding in contacts, adding in a first name and a last name. And then over here, you can see there are some key dates. You can add in their birthday and home anniversary. These two have to be in the format of year, month, and then date. So it has to be in that format to import. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to take that out. But that is the import. That is the format you need for the home anniversary and the birthday. That did actually change from the previous template. Then we do have a lot of spots for phone numbers. So I do want to point out at this moment in time, Command is only allowing for one phone number to be imported. This is an error. Hopefully this is a temporary error that will not be lasting long, but we've noticed even though you have all these different columns, at this exact moment, it is only allowing for one phone number to be imported. So please keep that in mind. Definitely would not want you to do an import and lose your contacts or have your contacts fail. So at this time, if you have multiple phone numbers, maybe you want to hold off until that error is fixed. But at this time, it is blocking contacts, or it is only allowing one phone number to be imported. So the main ones you'll want to focus on, there's primary personal over here in column J, there's primary home and primary cell. So if you have a phone number for someone, I would focus on putting them in one of those columns. There's also primary mobile. I believe if you use both of these, it's going to do primary mobile as the one that actually imports. And that is correct. So If you use, at this time, if you have something in primary personal, primary cell, and primary mobile, only primary mobile will import, but as an overarching rule, only one phone number is importing at this time. So you can select which column you want to use. Like I said, this is a glitch and hopefully will be resolved soon, but I would just put that phone number in primary personal if I were you. There are also some spots for email addresses. Now, emails are working. You can see there's a spot for primary personal email, primary work email, and so on. You can add in multiple emails at this time. That is working properly. So I'm just going to add in an email address. Now we do have some spots for an address as well. Now this is new. This is different from before. So we do have the options here. So we have address line 1, address line 2, city. Now these are separated. You can see it goes city, county, state, country, and zip. You don't need the county and the country. You only need the country if it is a non-US address that you're adding in. So you can go ahead and skip those. So if you are copying and pasting your other lists that you have onto this, make sure you're copying and pasting into the appropriate column. So I'm just going to add in an address here. All right, so that is an example of how you would want to put in the address. We also have the option here for a label. Now, this is an important trick that's new as well. To import addresses into command, they have to have a label and they have to be capitalized. You have some examples of these labels you can use: home, work, other. I think vacation is on there. So I'm going to label this as home. So any addresses that you add in for your contacts, they must have a label. The label is going to come after the address and it must be capitalized. If you don't have that here and it's not capitalized, it won't import. Now, directly next to this, we have a mailing address. Now, the cool thing is, if you have this person's primary address here, it's also going to make this address their mailing address. So previously we had the issue where you imported addresses, then you had to actually go in after the contract was imported and manually select that address as the mailing address. Thankfully, that has changed. So this primary address that I have here for Rachel, I don't know why I said Orlando, they lived in New York. This primary address here will be a mailing address when we import. So there's no need to put these addresses in the mailing address column as well. This will automatically be marked as a mailing address. So just keep that in mind. That is very helpful. And we do have some questions about PySync. We'll be touching on PySync later today. So PySync is another tool that you can use to import contacts from different locations. Not every app or website has an option for PySync, and PySync can be a little tricky. It doesn't pull over every bit of information. It kind of just pulls over basic information. So we'll be touching on that, but it's kind of, for these things, it's your preference on how you want to do this. So if you have another list, you can add it in through PySync through your settings, but like I said, it's not going to pull over everything. It doesn't pull over things like notes and so on. So if you have another list, I recommend copying and pasting onto this template, and then you can import that way. So that's the little tips and tricks on the addresses. And then we have some sections on tags over here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a few more people to this list, and then I'm going to point out the tags. Oh, and then I'm in all caps. Whoop, that's not how you spell Phoebe. All right, so I have my contacts here. Let me go ahead and just add in some emails. I'm only going to do name and email for these contacts, and then I'm going to show you how you can add in tags when you're importing. All right, so I have my contacts. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the end of my list and point out this tag section. So for your tags, you have your custom tags that you can add in. There are also tags provided by Keller Williams. You can see these are the system tags, things like buyer, seller, bought, sold, and so on. If you wanted to use any of these tags, all you have to do is put a Y in this column. So when we import, these contacts will have these tags applied. Now there's also a column for custom tags. Now this is really cool. For importing, you don't actually have to create the tags ahead of time. If you write in your custom tags that you'd like to use in this import, it'll actually create those tags for you when you add in the list. So I'm going to use the tag friend. And if you want to use additional tags, all you have to do is separate them by a comma. And we usually add in the date. So we do import 01/21/2021, just so it makes it easy for me to find these contacts. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this tag to all of my contacts that I'm importing. Again, you can add in multiple tags. You just have to separate them but with a comma. So those are my tags, and I'll show you how that works when we import. There's also a notes section. You can add in notes here. All right, so that is the basics of my list. Again, only one phone number is importing at this time, so you'd want to put that in either primary personal, primary cell, or primary mobile at this time. And then you can add in multiple emails at this time. And then for addresses, you really just want to make sure that you have a label here and it's completely capitalized. So let's just go ahead and move forward with this list. It's good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and save this to my computer. And now we'll go back to command so I can add this in. So I'm back on my command screen. My list is good to go. It's saved to my computer, and I'm going to browse my files and select the file that I'd like to import. And now I will click Import Contacts. Somebody asked, what is the benefit to importing versus adding in each contact individually? Saving time. If you have a large list, it's going to save you a lot of time to just copy and paste your contacts into that template rather than adding them in one by one. And then somebody said, does importing mean filling out the spreadsheet for every single contact? So I did it manually. I, wrote in every person. But if you had a list, say your Google contacts or your phone contacts, you would just pull up these lists next to each other, basically just copy your contacts from your list and paste them into this list. So I do also want to point out, you can't change anything in these first two rows. So you basically just have to make your contacts and the information you have fit into this list as best as you can. So essentially you would just be copying and pasting, just grabbing the whole column of names, putting it in the name column, and so on. Another great thing about this, let me go ahead and find my list. If you don't have first and last name separated, you can put the entire name in the first name column, and same sort of thing for address. If you don't have this address fully separated out, you can put the entire address in the address line 1 column. So just some tips and tricks. If you guys are working on your list and you have any trouble or encounter any errors or just want some pointers, definitely reach out to us and we can help assess that for you. So I imported my list. I'm going to click finish. And usually this does work really quickly. So I'm just going to refresh my page and we should see our contacts that we just imported. And there we go. We can see our contacts have been imported. We can also see their tags here. So you can see those tags that I wrote in, friend and import, those were added. And then some additional tags, can't really see that here, but additional system tags were added as well. So that is importing. Now I do want to show you how the filters and smart views work. So I did show you how to search. You can search for contacts just by typing in whatever you're looking for in this box here. When I type in friend, it pulls up all of my contacts with the friend tag. They also have friend in their email, so it's pulling it up that way. You can also use filters. Now let's go ahead and click on this filters button, and these are all the different ways that you can filter through your contacts. You can filter by all contacts or leads only. So this would just pull up all of my contacts marked as leads. Here's where you can filter by tags. So you can select any of the tags you'd like to search for. And it'll pull up those specific tags. You can search by company, lead source, and any one of these options here. So what I'm going to do is I want to search for my contacts that are SLM tagged and leads only. So I'm going to select whatever options I'd like to search for here and then click apply. And you can see it pulled up only those specific contacts. Now, in addition to the filters, we also have something called a smart view. And this is basically a custom filter that's going to help you save time when you're searching through your contacts. So directly next to that, we have this smart view. It says smart view all contacts. Right now I have a filter on. So I'm looking at my SLM contacts that are tagged with SLM and then my leads. So what I want to do to save myself some time in the future, I'm going to create a smart view. So I'm going to click on the Smart View tab here and click Create Smart View. And it's going to create this Smart View based on the filters I have set up currently. So I'm going to call this SLM Leads and save the Smart View. Now let me go ahead and show you what this looks like in action. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my All Contacts. And this is my default view. This is what my database looks like when I sign into Command. Now let's say I need to see those SLM leads. Rather than going into this filters button and selecting all those different options, I have that Smart View set up now. So I can just click on Smart View, click SLM leads directly, and you can see it's a quicker way to filter my contacts. I'm going to go back to my default Smart View. This is what my database looks like when I sign in. You also have the option to customize this view. Maybe I want to see different information or I just want to change the order of these columns here. I can click Customize Columns and make those changes. So on the left, I have all of the different columns that I can display. And on the right, it shows the order. So I'm going to take out some of these. There we go. I can also rearrange these items by dragging and dropping over here on the right. And once I've selected which columns I'd like to see and in what order, I can go ahead and click Apply. And you can see it rearranged my database for me. Now this, unless you save this, once you sign out or leave this page, it will default back to that original view. So I would recommend, you can see now we have the option to save the Smart View. This is going to save to my default view, my All Contacts default view. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now the next time I sign in, these columns will be in this order. And then, okay, so this is a question. We're not really going to be going over smart plans today, but we do see this a lot. Some of your smart plans, you have your contacts set up on a neighborhood nurture smart plan and they're not going out. And I think sometimes it'll actually unsubscribe the people from those smart plans as well. That is happening, and it does say it's not being delivered because there are no active listings. So that neighborhood nurture smart plan is basically just an update for that neighborhood. So if there are no new listings in that neighborhood, it won't send out for that month. So unfortunately, that is just how those smart plans work. If there are no new listings for the neighborhoods you have selected for someone, it's not going to send them out. And I believe the contacts will actually be taken off that smart plan as well. And then there are some questions about spouses. I'll go into a contact and show you the different things that we can manage there. Now, importing, for example, I have Monica and Chandler added in separately. I have Ross and Rachel added in separately. Now, importing, there's no way on the import to mark whether or not those contacts have a relationship of whatever that is. But when you're actually in the contact record, I can show you how you can choose that person's family member, business partner, whatever it is. So we will touch on that. So thank you for asking that question. So that's a little bit about the filters and the smart views. Now I do want to show you just some other things that you can do while we're here. At the top right, we have this little ... button. We have the option to export all owned contacts. If you're on a team or a rainmaker, you will have different options here. So you can export your team contacts and so on. But right now I have the option to export all of my contacts. I can also export mailing labels. I can export a CSV file for my mailing labels or a PDF file. For this, if I want to export all of my contacts, I would click on this option here, and you can see it says it's being processed. Refresh the page and check your notifications. So to get that export that I just exported, all I have to do is go up here to this little bell button. Anytime there's a red dot next to the bell, that means I have a new notification. So when I click on that bell, you can see it says your full contact export is complete. And I can actually download that file. So if I click here, I can save that exported file to my computer. This will also notify you for your imports. You can see this is the import that we did. It says your contacts were imported successfully. If any contacts fail, they will be shown here as well. It'll say your contacts imported, and then I believe it'll have another notification saying part of your import failed, and you can actually look at the file to see which contacts were not imported and why. So a great helpful tool there as well. All right, over here on the right, I'm going to select some contacts. And now you see we have the option for select bulk action. And we can do any one of these things. We can add a note, we can archive a contact, which I will touch on. We can send a bulk text and so on. Somebody asked about marking contacts as leads or unmarking as leads. You have the option here to unmark as a lead. I can also add bulk tags, send a text. I can export these contacts only rather than doing a full export of my database. I can export the ones I selected, as well as create mailing labels for those contacts that I've selected. So you do have these options here. Now for deleting contacts in Command. To delete a contact, you first have to archive the contact. I think this is great because it kind of prevents you from accidentally deleting contacts if you may not want to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and delete some contacts. So I have my contacts selected here. To delete them, I first have to archive them. So I'm going to click Archive, and that's going to move these contacts into the Archive section in my settings. All right. Now, before we go into our settings and I show you the contact archive and how to set up those custom tags and custom fields, I do want to, let's go ahead and just click on a contact and I can show you the different information and things that we can do within there. So I'm going to click on Rachel Green. And view her information. So if I ever need to make changes to a contact, maybe I have some updated information or whatever it is, I can click on this edit button here. And this is that same contact form from before, and I can add in additional relationships. So somebody did ask about adding in a spouse, relative, business partner, whoever it is. So I am in Rachel's profile. I click the pencil to edit the contact. And now I can go in and I can add a relationship. So again, when you're importing, there's no way to set this up. Unfortunately, this does have to be done manually. But I can go ahead and click Add Relationship. I can select any one of these options here. And I can search for someone in my database. There we go. Ross has been added as the spouse, and I can click Save. So over here at the top left, we can see the contact's name, the last time they were contacted. We can mark this contact as a lead and see their tags. These are the tags associated with Rachel. I can see her email. And then down below, some additional contact information. There's her address info. I'd be able to see any social profiles, and then her birthday, November 12th, 1234, and then any relationships here. Now, I do want to point out, we're going to come back to this neighborhood section, but this is an error at this time as well. Typically, because I added in an address for this contact, neighborhoods are not populating. So typically, when you import a neighborhood for someone, it'll also add in neighborhoods automatically. Unfortunately, at this time, neighborhoods are not populating automatically. They do have to be added in manually. But that is an error. We're hoping that will be resolved soon, and I'll show you how you can add in those neighborhoods. So that's the information we can see over here. If we click on this ... I can add this contact to a smart plan, choose account, whether this is a team account or a personal account. I can move these contacts around. Or I can archive. If I want to delete this person, I would first have to move them to the archive. Now to the right, we have the timeline. Rachel doesn't have anything here yet, but you would be able to see a timeline of their activity. I'd be able to see on this timeline if this person was added to a smart plan, if they unsubscribed from a smart plan, if they received any emails from you, if this contact saved any properties on my website or on my mobile app, they would show up on the timeline here. You can also add activity for this person, and that would appear on the timeline. I can also see the contact's opportunities or create a new opportunity, view any smart plans or add this contact to a smart plan. Tasks, this is basically like a checklist or a to-do list for this contact. You can add that in here. Any notes and save searches. This is similar to when you set up a save search in the MLS. It'll actually send out emails for this person to receive notifications about listings based on their search criteria. Now down at the bottom right, we have the option to add activity that would appear on the timeline, add a note for this contact, or add a calendar event. I do want to point out this neighborhood section. So if you want to add somebody to a neighborhood nurture smart plan, those automated monthly emails where they get updates based on the neighborhoods that they're interested in, where they can see new listings and so on, you have to come in here to add neighborhoods. So I'm going to go ahead and click add neighborhood here. And we can start to search for neighborhoods. So you can start to type in a neighborhood name, or we can also find them on a map. So I'm going to just start typing in neighborhoods. You can see I typed in Music Row, and it's starting to actually build a landing page for me as well. So I selected Music Row. It does give me some suggested neighborhoods here. So I can select additional neighborhoods. I can continue to type in the neighborhood name. I can also find on map. So I'm going to click find on map. And I can search for neighborhoods here. So if you have trouble finding a specific neighborhood that you would like to add for someone, the best option may be to come in and search for it on a map. This information pulls from next door. So if the neighborhood you want to add doesn't exist on here, you may just have to basically piece it together on the map and select the neighborhoods they have set up around the area you are trying to select. So I'm just going to start to select a few neighborhoods here. And once I've added in everything that I need, I can click Save. Now what this does, now that this person has those neighborhoods added, I can add this contact to that neighborhood nurture smart plan, and they will receive monthly emails based on the neighborhoods that I selected, and it'll show them new listings from those neighborhoods. But this also created a landing page, which is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link here and pull up this neighborhood landing page. So in addition to the smart plans that you can set your person up on, you can also send them this neighborhood snapshot web page. So this is a landing page based on those neighborhoods that you selected. So we can see a map of this area. Right now we're looking at Music Row. This is the neighborhood selected. We can see a map and look at these listings based on the map. I can also scroll through listings over here on the right. If I scroll down, we can see our contact form and our contact information and our footer information here. Now this information, this is going to pull from your marketing profile in Command. So they can select these different neighborhoods. They can also add additional neighborhoods. Over here on the right, if we click neighborhood stats, this is going to give us more detailed information on these neighborhoods. So we can see in Music Row, there are 10 homes for sale and 4 pending. And this information here, the average home price, price per square foot, and days on market. We can see a map of the area, some additional stats, transit and commute. They can add in a place that they will be frequently driving to and see what their commute will be from this area. Information on nearby schools as well as places. They can see what type of restaurants, grocery stores, and so on are in the area that they're interested in. And then down below, more listings and information on additional neighborhoods. So this is a great tool. You can put this together for your client and say, hey, I made this landing page for you. Check it out. Let me know if you like any of these listings. You can also, if you'd like to create just a general one that you'd like to post on Facebook or anywhere, like any of your social media, what have you, I would recommend adding yourself as a contact, and then you can create a neighborhood landing page here, and then use that as basically like a generic landing page. So that is how we can set that up. I do want to switch gears before we wrap up today and go into our settings. So from the page we're on, I'm just going to click on Scott's name at the top right, and then click Settings. And for everyone's questions, I'm sorry, I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can. If I don't get to answer your question today, please feel free to shoot us an email after class, and we can definitely assist further. I'm going to put our email in the chat, support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can try and get those questions answered for you. So we are in our settings currently. I'm going to go over to the left and click on Command Settings, and then Contacts, and Contact Archive. Now this is our Contact Archive. These are the contacts that we moved from our database into this archive section. Now to delete contacts from Command, you first have to archive them. You can also leave contacts in the archive as long as you want. So you can see their name and the date and time that they were archived. And I have the option to either restore them to my database or delete them permanently. If I click delete, that contact is now permanently deleted. I also want to point out, so Ariel and Brittany are currently in the archive. If I were to try and add these contacts into my database, it would block them from being added. It will say that they already exist. So if you run into that problem, make sure that those contacts aren't in the archive. Then you can choose to either delete them or add them back over. So we do also have, well, from here, you have the option to select up to 50 contacts at a time to either restore or delete. But we also have this option for database wipe. There's a couple options here. If you ever need to completely clear out your database rather than moving contacts over to the archive in groups, you can click Archive All, and that's going to move everybody from the contacts section into the archive. And from there, you can choose to delete all of the archived contacts. Right now, it'll delete everybody that's in the archive currently. So if I click Delete All, and we go back to our archive, those contacts will be gone. So just a great tool and easier way to delete contacts here. If we click on Contact Tags, now those are those tags that you're going to want to use to organize and basically categorize your contacts. There are tags added in by Keller Williams, things like buyer, seller, agent, and so on. You can create a custom tag by clicking Create Tag here. And you can name this whatever you want. It's whatever you are going to use to help organize your contacts. They give examples like Builder, Luxury, Platinum Club, SOI. You can name the tag and then apply a color to it if you'd like, and then create. Oh, and it looks like I already have a test tag in here. There we go. So now I've created that tag. I can apply that tag to contacts in my database. This is a great question. If you archive the contacts, does it also archive or delete the opportunities? I am not 100% sure on that. I would like to say no. I don't think if you archive the contact, it'll also archive the opportunity, but I'm not 100% on that. Under lead sources, these are those custom lead sources we can add in. You can see these are all the lead sources created by KW. There are quite a few options in there. But you can also create a custom lead source by clicking Create Custom Source at the top. Maybe you got some new leads at an open house on a specific date. You can add in the source name here and then add in the category. So if I was using open house as my source name, I would choose events. And again, these are just for your preference, helping you categorize your contacts in whatever way you need. Under custom fields, those are basically those custom questions or custom bits of information we want to store for someone. In one of my classes, somebody asked about a spouse birthday. So you can add in a spouse for somebody, maybe somebody who's not in your database, you just have the spouse stored underneath them. You have the spot to save the primary contact's birthday, but not the spouse's. So I can go up here and click Create Custom Field. They do give examples like favorite sports team, hometown. I'm going to add in spouse birthday. And then under custom field type, this is basically how you're going to answer that question or store that info. So this is a date. I can choose date here. And when I add in a contact, I can select the date for their spouse's birthday. If it was something you wanted to write in, like favorite color, favorite hometown, sports team, you would choose text field. And then when you add in that custom field, you would have a box to write in whatever their favorite sports team or hometown was. All right, we also have import logs. And I do believe this section is down at the moment. But I do want to point this out. So we can see the import logs are not pulling over currently. I do have previous imports in here where we could see the date and time that contacts were imported, how many contacts imported, and how many failed. You can also access the original file. So your original file that you imported will be saved here. You can also download the error file so you can see which contacts were not imported and why. But at this time, you can see we did an import, but it's not appearing here. This information is not updating. You would be able to see this up here. You'd be able to see your error contacts that were not imported through your notifications. But if you were to dismiss those, it would be gone. So hopefully this will be back up and running soon, so we can see more information about our imports. But this is the import logs and how that typically works. All right, and the last thing I want to touch on today before we wrap up would be PySync. So I'm going to go back over to the left under Command Settings and click Applications. This is where we can see all of the different apps that we currently have connected to Command, as well as additional apps that we can connect. So if we scroll down, let's go ahead and find PySync. PySync is an app that you can use to basically bring over contacts from different locations and have them automatically feed into Command. I'm going to click Show Details. We actually have one account connected now. Let me go ahead and disconnect this. So for any one of these, if you want to use PySync or any of these apps to connect it, all you would have to do is go to the far right and click Connect Account. From here, you can choose which app you'd like to use to pull over those contacts. So you can pull over contacts from Google, iCloud, and so on. You can find all of these different options here. I'm going to select Google. You can choose, my account is already connected, so I'm just going to connect that here, or you can click Add New Account and it'll have you sign into the account that you are connecting. Once you've selected which account you're connecting, you're going to click Configure. And now we're basically going to set up how those contacts are going to be pulled over into Command. So this is establishing the type of sync. So this would be a two-way connection. So these contacts would communicate with each other. If a contact is added in Google, it'll come over to Command. If a contact is added in Command, it'll come over to Google. You can also choose to do syncs in different directions, moving contacts from Google into Command or from Command into Google. And that is basically what this says here. These are the connection rules. If a contact is in Google, it will sync to Command and vice versa. You have the options to set up these connection settings as well. And then we have field mapping. So most of the time this lines up pretty perfectly, but you will want to take a quick glance at this. This is basically just saying that contacts under these categories in Google are going to come over into these categories in Command. So you can see some of them don't match up. They mostly match up perfectly, but job title in Google is going to go to title or profession in Command, and so on. So I would just take a quick glance at that to make sure that those line up. You can also add in custom field mappings as well. From there, you can click Start Syncing Now and it'll pull over those contacts. I'm going to go ahead and click Save for later. Excuse me. So a few things to note about PySync. PySync is not going to pull over tags. So keep that in mind. Your contacts will not be tagged. It also just pulls over basic information. So it's not going to pull over anything like notes. So based on the information you have stored for people, you can decide what's going to work better, whether that is PySync or importing, copying and pasting your contacts into that import template. So if you have further questions on PySync and importing and what you think would work best for your situation, please feel free to email us and we can give you some pointers and some direction on that. But that is actually about it for today's class. Now, I know we went over a ton of stuff. I did record this class, so you will be able to see this later on slmtraining.com. Somebody did ask, will it pull over Facebook friends? Unfortunately, from what we've seen, there's not a way to export your Facebook contacts. But there's our training website. I'm also going to put in our chat. So again, I apologize if I wasn't able to answer your questions today, but please shoot us an email and we'd be happy to assist further. But thank you guys again for watching our class today. If we don't talk to you soon, I hope you have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.